I remember when I was a few years younger, a little while ago, when my younger brother moved to the same city that I live in, good old Louisville, Kentucky. One of the jobs that my brother had was he was a manager for this company. Let's just say it rhymes with ball yard. I wonder who it could be. And he was an assistant manager, and they put him on night shift. And statistically, it was one of the, even though it didn't seem like it, there was more theft at this particular ball yard than any other one in the region. And one of the reasons is logistics. They had several managers and assistant managers, but for some reason, all of them got off work at like 5 or 6 o'clock, except for my brother. He would be the only one. They'd have like 10 managers in the day and one at night, which was my brother. They had all these loss prevention people. They had 3, 4, 5 of them, but for some reason, them dudes only worked like 8 to 5. Even though all the thefts, all the stuff, all the people stuff stealing was at night. So they put my brother there. Now, my brother shares a lot of similarities with my dad. And I know what you're saying. He's like, wait, we heard you talk about your dad. Is that a good thing? Listen, for anyone out there, there's very few people that are 100% evil. There are some, there's very few. And my father did have some good qualities. There were some things that he learned during his time in the military that were positives. It's just, sometimes not a lot of what you say is how you say it. And how he said shit was wrong as hell all the time. All the time? All the time. My brother was a corporate dude through and through. My brother kind of relished. He loved the power that it gave him, which, power leads to corruption. And my brother is a asshole by nature. He's, if you looked at a script and be like, okay, who's the asshole? There's going to be a huge picture of my brother. And my brother knows this. I'm not saying anything that he doesn't know. I love him though. Love him dearly. And he's an asshole. There was a theft this one particular night at Ball Yard. And my brother, who has a past of where he was a sheriff and a chief of police at a very, very young age, why anybody would give him a badge and a gun is beyond me. My brother spent time as a armored car guard. You know how crazy you got to be in an armored car to guard other people's money and then take home minimum wage? You got to be out your rabbit ass mind. My brother was cut out for this type of foolishness. So this dude had a full shopping cart, TVs. He went back to electric, electronics department and cleaned up. My brother just felt like, okay, I'm, the random black man. I'm the manager. Of course they're going to blame it on me. They're going to act like I was carrying the stuff out to the car for him. So my brother's like, not on my watch. Now, store protocol is that when people are stealing, for one, you let them get outside into the parking lot. Yes, this is real. The protocol at Ball Yard is you let them get outside into the parking lot and you call the police. You let the police deal with this theft. You do not be a hero. Don't put on your cape. Don't try to do nothing. You let the police deal with it, because once it makes it outside the store, at that point it's actually theft. Like if you know they stealing, you got intuition, you feel like they stealing, you can't do anything about it in the store because it's not theft until it actually leaves the store. Now, most of the electronics, especially big dollar items, are not even supposed to leave the electronics department. And if you notice, anybody who's been to Ball Yard, if they go get something from behind that, the lock and key, the glass, no, you pay for it back here. Don't tell me you're gonna pay for it up front with your groceries. Hell, there's 65 cash registers and ain't but one person working any damn way. And they even got the little self-scanning things, and half of those be closed. Like, what? Who they? Anyway. My brother decided he was going to take this person down. And then there was a store, a restaurant inside this ball yard that serves sandwiches. They're long sandwiches. Whew, it's getting harder and harder not to say the actual names of the places, but listen, I'm a nobody content creator. They ain't suing me. You done made that up. I ain't got no money. They got B's. They got Billies. You're not suing me. I'm just, if you saw my last video, I'm just telling my truth. Anyway, my brother decided he was gonna be a hero. He put on his cape and he full out tackled like Sean Taylor, like Lawrence, Taylor, like Ray Lewis, tackled the dude, bam! Right inside the door of the store, right there next to the little sandwich shop, like blew up one of those standing signs, just tow it up. He felt like a hero. They got all the stuff back. The police came, took the dude to jail for attempted theft. And the next day, my brother was let go. The sad thing is that as good of a guy my brother is, when it comes to these corporate jobs and going over and above for your job, he just never seemed to learn his lesson. Hello, Governor. This is Rakai Steve, Noob from the Ville, and we're here to talk about Invincible, Season 3, Episode 7, What Have I Done? Now, if you know my videos, I'm not going to do a long recap. It's going to be real short, and we're going to jump right into the quotes and the point. Go into the description, watch the video that Centella and I did for the reaction, and it'll be under episode this analysis is based on. Mark is fresh off of fighting Powerplex and dealing with more emotional stuff than one man should have to endure in a day. He was actually there to witness Powerplex absolutely incinerate his own wife and own infant son because he couldn't see past his own anger towards Mark. He was mad at Mark for killing his sister and his niece, but ended up killing his own wife and child because of it. And he still says that is Mark's fault. So what we have, and we've seen it throughout the series, throughout the season so far, that Angstrom Levy is still alive. Somehow he was put back together, he's still alive. And what he's done is he's gone to the different worlds that he can jump into and gotten the services of each of the marks from those worlds. So he's gotten an Invincible off of, 20 some odd worlds. And he's going to take this council of marks to this earth to destroy not only Mark, but his reputation, his good name, his family, everything and anything that means something to Mark on this earth, because this is the Mark that defeated him, that embarrassed him, that left him for dead, he gonna take Mark down. Now we know how strong Mark is. So now there's 20 plus of them. And they immediately, each one of them spreads out all over the earth to big cities and just starts destroying everything, killing everyone. And Cecil and them, they dispatch heroes all over the planet to fight these Invincibles. And almost every single hero gets not only his ass whooped, her ass whooped, they die. Including, shout outs to a real one who I didn't know that I was gonna like as much. He had a smart mouth in a crazy way, but that damn Rexplode by Jason Matsusakis, I think that's how you say his name. I know he was hilarious on a show called The League. He even has a part on the most recent Percy Jackson on Disney. He's hilarious as Rexplode, and he sacrifices himself. The thing is, we just got out of the devastation, the memorial for the devastation that Nolan and Mark caused. And more devastation was caused by Mark and Powerplex. Now we have the Council of Marks all over the world. And more of the same is happening. And Mark has dealt with Angstrom Levy before. And he still has a set of a code that he clings to, even though he skirts over that line and he kind of breaks it when it's convenient for him. And Angstrom Levy ends up getting away again. You know that I love my quotes, and I only have one today. And it's from Bridget Nicole. And she says that sometimes in life, your situation will keep repeating itself until you've learned the lesson. When I was becoming a minister, I went through all these classes for a year and a half at my church, and they have a wonderful ministerial academy alliance. And you have to get up and give basically a mini sermon. So I got up and gave a 15 minute mini sermon. Might have even been 5, I don't remember. But part of that was actually and I hate to say this, but my sermon was scripturally, biblically based, and it was on that foundation. And I used scripture to back up what I was saying. Whereas this, I, used the television shows and then espouse my opinion for you to listen to if you so fancy, and then make your own determinations and see where does it hit you at. But this particular sermon was on this particular point and I used my life for example, was that I didn't realize that I kept running into the same situations, the same problems over and over again. And that was because there's a scripture about the potter's wheel. And you cannot get up from the potter's wheel until you learn your lesson. Until you learn the lesson you're supposed to learn, it just keeps turning. And the same situation, maybe in a different wrapping, different situation, comes right back around each and every time. And it's not to see how you deal with it, it's see, are you ready to be done with it? And it took a long time in actual life for me to learn that lesson. And I still feel like sometimes there's situations that pop up. Again, because I have not personally, it's not that I haven't learned my lesson, I have. Well, maybe I haven't, because sometimes, it's easy to say, I made the wrong choice. Well, but if you knew better, you do better, right? So maybe when you say I knew better, well, maybe you didn't, because you made the same dumbass choice again. I am a grown-ass man, and I have made a number of wonderful choices in my life and some god-awful choices. And it's led me to where I am today. And I'm not proud of that, but I'm also not lamented by that. I'm broke as shit. I've had times where I was up, and I do mean up, where everything I had on was designer. I drove a BMW 750i. What does that shit mean? Material shit, was that for somebody else? I drove a BMW 750 because that was the car that I loved. I still love that car. And I'll get another one. It's just a car. My car now is a raggedy piece of shit. It's a car. I'll have another BMW. I finally have a 67 Lincoln Continental drop top slab. Ugh, nasty. I have one, not because I'm trying to show off, because I love that car. I have the things to take care of my family properly, but it involves me learning some lessons along the way. And some, unfortunately, because we are people, some lessons you gotta learn the hard damn way. My mom always used to say, a hard head makes for a soft ass. No, I didn't quite know what that meant at the time, and and now looking back on it, it just sounds like, ooh, no daddy. What? What's that mean? But the thing is, if you have a hard head, you're gonna tend to get your ass kicked a lot. And that doesn't mean somebody physically putting hands on you, but you're gonna deal with a whole lot of situations that you shouldn't have to deal with. You've made some dumbass decisions, and now you're gonna have to deal with the consequences of those decisions. When you fail to learn from mistakes, it's problematic. And there was a thing, when I was teaching, we had these series of things, and teachers, we teach a lot of soft skills. So not only are we teaching math, reading, arithmetic, math is arithmetic. So, what was it? The 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, which that shit don't even make sense. What slow person made that? Anyway, but science, social studies, you have it. You learn these skills that most people complain about school. Why do we gotta learn this shit? I'm not even gonna use this in life. I get it. We're trying to make you well-rounded citizens. Who gives a damn? But we used to teach soft skills, and one of those was about having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. A fixed mindset means that you're hard-headed, you're stuck in your ways, and you won't accept fat back is greasy. Now you're like, what? One of those old country-ass sayings. And that just means that a lot of times you won't accept reality. You won't accept the way things are, and you're too stuck in your ways to think of a new way of doing things, a new perspective. Sometimes you don't like change. You like things the way they are. And even if they're not working, doesn't matter. This is the way it is. Don't rock the boat. Growth mindset is that you're willing to learn from your mistakes. You're willing to try new things. You're accepting of change. You can understand when something's not working, something's got to give. Insanity. The definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect different results. And a lot of people, whether it's you or people you know, accept this version of insanity as part of their life. And they wake up every morning and do the same thing over and over, and they expect things to be different. I'm just gonna wake up one day and some fairy godmother is gonna drop off the $1 billion winning lottery ticket just in my pocket just because today's my day. No, a lot of your problems you have to get out of on your own. And the hardest thing for most people is to take that first step. Mark had a hard time seeing himself through a lot of his problems, and he wouldn't acknowledge that many of his problems, even not all, but many of his problems, he was the creator of most of those problems because he had a very fixed mindset. He was given all this power with very little of the responsibility. He was given all this power, very little training of what to deal with it. Nolan trained him up on how to use his powers, but not the responsibility of his powers, because Nolan had a hidden agenda. So you're leaving Mark to train Oliver, and actually Oliver is one of the best teachers for Mark, because Mark has to see himself in Oliver. He has to see the lessons that he missed. He wants to teach his brother the right way to handle things. And Oliver is a pistol. Oliver's a lot like his daddy. Daddy, big bruh, let's just kill them all. Let God sort them out. Hard thing about making mistakes is you have so many missed opportunities. My daughter was telling me a story here just recently about some people talking about her. But instead of this being one of those stories that'd be like, where they at, baby? Sure, who talking about you? She was talking about that an adult came to her and was telling her that his daughter was talking so positively and glowingly about my daughter. And we had a really good conversation about when your countenance is high, when your spirit is good, when you treat people well, your name is mentioned in rooms that you had no idea. And that can mean a huge opportunity for you that you have no idea why you're getting it. And it's because people are going somewhere else and speaking about you positively. Yeah, she's a teenage girl, so there's gonna be rumors, bullshit, backstabbing, mean girls, all of that type of stuff. And my older kids, all my kids are having to deal with that right now. They're in high school. Of course, some bullshit going on. And whether you're popular, and all my kids are popular, there's still that comes with it. And I'm fortunate that my kids are popular and well received and well liked. Like my oldest son is my heart. That's my boy, and he is an asshole. He is. He reminds me of his uncle. My brother was the king of the assholes, and it just seemed like sometimes the worse he talked to people, the worse he treated people, the more that they loved him for it. Now my son is not as bad as my brother was. He's as vain, he's as conceited as my brother was, absolutely. But my brother talked good and greasy to people. My son doesn't do that. He's mean, but he doesn't talk greasy to people. He doesn't treat people bad, which he has that advantage over my brother. My brother, and now he's gotten older, he's become a loving dude, but he was not. He was an asshole. He's still an asshole, but he's a lovable asshole these days. You have to fix your mind to realize you have some deficiencies, and how do you want to fix those? You can choose to stay stuck and not learn from the lessons that life is throwing at you. But you can also choose to learn, to change, to get better, to want to be better. But understand at the end of the day, it absolutely 100% is a choice. And nobody can make it for you but you. This is Rakai Steed, Noob from the Ville. Make sure that you like this. Share it to as many people as possible. Leave me a comment. Do you have a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Did you learn the lessons you're supposed to learn? Because, players F up sometimes, and we've all done it. And if for some reason you have not subscribed, hit the button, subscribe to this. Go back and watch some of the past videos. There might be some that resonates with you. Remember, no matter what we do, we use this, but even more importantly, we use this.